Tonight, you'll be dozing off from the backseat of your parents' car, softly cradled by the gentle hum of the engine as it travels homeward late at night along a country highway. Imagine you are sitting in the back seat with your head nestled into a cozy pillow propped against the window. You are gazing out at the moonlit countryside, and on your face is a soft and secret smile. It's late Friday night, after playing in the pep band at your brother's basketball game far from home. Your kid sister has nodded off already. She's laying across the wide seat with her head resting softly in your lap. You are tired too after a long week of high school and homework, but you're also full of wonder, and that smile on your face is perfectly concealed in the shadows, only illuminated sporadically by the flickering flashes of light cast from the headlights of oncoming cars. You rest your forehead against the cool glass of the window. Every now and then, a distant farmhouse light appears, towering like a lighthouse in the dark, casting bright beams across the endless, waterless ocean of a prairie. Now, slowly we'll begin to relax. First, with eyes closed, just become aware of your breathing, feeling your chest gently rise and fall again. Next, we'll try taking a few deeper breaths, filling our lungs with air, holding it, and then gently exhaling and letting it all go. Ready? Inhale deeply, hold for 3, 2, 1, and then exhale. One more time. Breathe in deeply, hold for 3, 2, 1, and then exhale. And try thinking to yourself, as I sit here in the back seat, I can feel gravity's pull tugging me gently back towards Earth. With every exhale, I can feel the weight of the day slipping away. I can feel my feet, my ankles, calves, knees, and my legs, each part of me relaxing deeper and becoming heavier and more relaxed. Up in the front seat, your parents recap and relive the big game. They talk of jump shots and fouls, rebounds and timeouts. You close your eyes, but when you picture the crowded gymnasium, you remember something much sweeter than basketball. Your mind drifts back, but now the memory of the night is soothing and hypnotic, somehow quieter, as if it all played out in slow motion. Sneakers squeaking on the hardwood floor, cheers blasting out from spirit sections choreographed by cheerleaders and mascots. The aroma of popcorn and hot dogs snaking its way from concessions all the way through the hot air, above the teams and players and referees, and then high into the packed stands where you and the band played and cheered and sang. You quietly reflect on how unexpected your first love appeared in your young life. It feels as if the universe brought it to you slowly, and yet, in the end, also unexpectedly in a flash. Now let's try taking a few more deep breaths. Ready? Breathe in deeply. Hold for 3, 2, 1, and then exhale. Try continuing on your own, and while doing this, try thinking to yourself, as I sit here, my whole body feels heavy and relaxed. With every exhale, I can feel gravity pulling me back towards Earth gently. I can feel my head, my shoulders, my neck becoming relaxed and at ease. And my legs are heavy and at peace with gravity's pull. Now my whole body, my legs and feet, my arms and hands, my torso, my head and neck and shoulders, my whole body is completely at peace, relaxed, and at ease. For weeks and weeks at band practice and at games, you had played right there next to each other, bumping elbows, close enough to catch quick flashes of fragrances, close enough for smiles, quick glances, silly and innocent flirtations without considering really when and where or if you might actually ever kiss. And then, unexpectedly, tonight, it just happened. while the whole gymnasium was on its feet, the whole world preoccupied with some monumental moment of a basketball game. It just happened right there in the minuscule universe between the two of you. When you think about it now, falling in love was a lot like those farmhouse lights out there in the darkness. Everything approached so slowly at first, off in the distance, hardly moving at all. And then, love gained momentum and approached you carefully and timidly, getting closer and closer, and before you knew it, before you both knew it, true love had rushed up on you in a heartbeat, irresistible and suddenly undeniable. You smile now, thinking how you had always imagined your first kiss would happen somewhere private and hidden, and yet, in the end, yours was out in the open and in front of hundreds of people who never even saw it. As your parents dial in the AM radio, you finally close your eyes and lean back. Tonight's reading from the Journal of the First Voyage of Columbus begins with Tuesday, October 16th, and continues through Tuesday, November 6th, 1492. We rejoin the Admiral among the green shores of Fernandina and Isabella, then follow him west to the sandy islets he names the islands of the Arena, and onward to the deep, quiet rivers and villages of Cuba. You'll hear of calm lagoons, cotton and parrots, the great harbor he calls Puerto Rio de Mares, messengers sent inland to find the local king, and shipboard pauses to careen and take on water, along with notes on aloe, mastic, and distant places called Babeque and Bojillo. We close with the scouts' return from a large inland village, reports of abundant spun cotton, the admiral preparing to steer southeast in search of gold and spices. Journal of the First Voyage of Columbus. Tuesday, 16th of October. I sailed from the island of Santa Maria de la Concepcion at about noon to go to Fernandina Island, which appeared very large to the westward, and I navigated all that day with light winds. I could not arrive in time to be able to see the bottom so as to drop the anchor on a clear place, for it is necessary to be very careful not to lose the anchors. So I stood off and on all that night until day, when I came to an inhabited place where I anchored, and whence that man had come that I found yesterday in the canoe in mid-channel. He had given such a good report of us that there was no want of canoes alongside the ship all that night, which brought us water and what they had to offer. I ordered each one to be given something, such as a few beads, 10 or 12 of those made of glass on a thread, some timbrels made of brass, such as are worth a maravedì in Spain, and some straps, all which they looked upon as most excellent. I also ordered them to be given treacle to eat when they came on board. At 3 o'clock I sent the ship's boat on shore for water, and the natives with good will showed my people where the water was, and they themselves brought the full casks down to the boat, and did all they could to please us. This island is very large, and I have determined to sail round it because, so far as I can understand, there is a mine in or near it. The island is 8 leagues from Santa Maria, nearly east and west, and this point I had reached, as well as all the coast, trends north-northwest and south-southeast. I saw at least 20 leagues of it, and then it had not ended. Now, as I am writing this, I made sail with the wind at the south to sail round the island and to navigate until I find Samaut, which is the island or city where there is gold, as all the natives say who are on board, and as those of San Salvador and Santa Maria told us. These people resemble those of the said islands, with the same language and customs, except that these appear to me a rather more domestic and tractable people, yet also more subtle. For I observed that those who brought cotton and other trifles to the ship knew better than the others how to make a bargain. In this island I saw cotton cloths made like mantles. The people were better disposed, and the women wore in front of their bodies a small piece of cotton which scarcely covered them. It is a very green island, level and very fertile, and I have no doubt that they sow and gather corn all the year round, as well as other things. I saw many trees very unlike those of our country. Many of them have their branches growing in different ways, and all from one trunk, and one twig is one form, and another in a different shape. And so unlike that, it is the greatest wonder in the world to see the great diversity. Thus, one branch has leaves like those of a cane, and others like those of a mastic tree. And on a single tree there are 5 or 6 different kinds. Nor are these grafted, for it may be said that grafting is unknown, the trees being wild and untended by these people. They do not know any religion, and I believe they could easily be converted to Christianity, for they are very intelligent. Here the fish are so unlike ours that it is wonderful. Some are the shape of dories, and of the finest colors in the world, blue, yellow, red, and other tints, all painted in various ways. And the colors are so bright that there is not a man who would not be astonished, and would not take great delight in seeing them. There are also whales. I saw no beasts on the land of any kind, except parrots and lizards. A boy told me that he saw a large serpent. I saw neither sheep, nor goats, nor any other quadruped. It is true I have been here a short time since noon, yet I could not have failed to see some if there had been any. I will write respecting the circuit of this island after I have been round it. Wednesday, 17th of October. At noon I departed from the village off which I was anchored, and where I took in water to sail round this island of Fernandina. The wind was southwest and south. My wish was to follow the coast of this island to the southeast, from where I was, the whole coast trending north-northwest and south-southeast. Because all the Indians I bring with me, and others, made signs to this southern quarter as the direction of the island they call Samoet, where the gold is. Martin Alonso Pinzon, captain of the caravel Pinta, on board of which I had 3 of the Indians, came to me and said that one of them had given him to understand very positively that the island might be sailed round much quicker by shaping a north-northwest course. I saw that the wind would not help me to take the course I desired, and that it was fair for the other, so I made sail to the north-northwest. When I was 2 leagues from the cape of the island, I discovered a very wonderful harbor. It has 1 mouth, or rather, it may be said to have 2, for there is an islet in the middle. Both are very narrow, and within it is wide enough for 100 ships if there was depth and a clean bottom, and the entrance was deep enough. It seemed desirable to explore it and take soundings, so I anchored outside and went in with all the ship's boats, when we saw there was insufficient depth. As I thought, when I first saw it, that it was the mouth of some river, I ordered the water casks to be brought. On shore I found 8 or 10 men who presently came to us and showed us the village, whither I sent the people for water, some with arms and others with the casks. And as it was some little distance, I waited 2 hours for them. During that time I walked among the trees, which was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen, beholding as much verdure as in the month of May in Andalusia. The trees are unlike ours as night from day, as are the fruits, the herbs, the stones, and everything. It is true that some of the trees bore some resemblance to those in Castile, but most of them are very different, and some were so unlike that no one could compare them to anything in Castile. The people were all like those already mentioned, like them naked and the same size. They give what they possess in exchange for anything that may be given to them. I here saw some of the ship's boys bartering broken bits of glass and crockery for darts. The men who went for water told me that they had been in the houses of the natives and that they were very plain and clean inside. Their beds and bags for holding things were like nets of cotton. The houses are like booths and very high with good chimneys. But among many villages that I saw, there was none that consisted of more than from 12 to 15 houses. Here they found that the married women wore clouts of cotton, but not the young girls, except a few who were over 18 years of age. They had dogs, mastiffs, and hounds. And here they found a man who had a piece of gold in his nose, the size of half a castellano, on which they saw letters. I quarreled with these people because they would not exchange or give what was required, as I wished to see what and whose this money was, and they replied that they were not accustomed to barter. After the water was taken, I returned to the ship, made sail, and shaped a course northwest, until I had discovered all the part of the coast of the island which trends east to west. Then all the Indians turned round and said that this island was smaller than Samoit, and that it would be well to return back so as to reach it sooner. The wind presently went down and then sprang up from west-northwest, which was contrary for us to continue on the previous course. So I turned back and navigated all that night to east-southeast, sometimes to east and to southeast. This course was steered to keep me clear of the land, for there were very heavy clouds and thick weather, which did not admit of my approaching the land to anchor. On that night it rained very heavily from midnight until nearly dawn, and even afterwards the clouds threatened rain. We found ourselves at the southwest end of the island, where I hoped to anchor until it cleared up so as to see the other island whither I have to go. On all these days since I arrived in these Indies, it has rained more or less. Your Highnesses may believe that this land is the best and most fertile, and with a good climate, level, and as good as there is in the world. Thursday, 18th of October. After it had cleared up, I went before the wind, approaching the island as near as I could, and anchored when it was no longer light enough to keep under sail. But I did not go on shore, and made sail at dawn. Friday, 19th of October. I weighed the anchors at daylight, sending the Caravel Pinta on an east-southeast course, the Caravel Nina south-southeast, while I shaped a southeast course, giving orders that these courses were to be steered until noon, and that then the two caravels should alter course so as to join company with me. Before we had sailed for 3 hours, we saw an island to the east, for which we steered, and all 3 vessels arrived at the north point before noon. Here there is an islet and a reef of rocks to seaward of it, besides one between the islet and the large island. The men of San Salvador, whom I bring with me, called it Sayomete, and I gave it the name of Isabella. The wind was north, and the said islet bore from the island of Fernandina, whence I had taken my departure east and west. Afterwards we ran along the coast of the island, westward from the islet, and found its length to be 12 leagues as far as a cape, which I named Cabo Hermoso, at the western end. The island is beautiful, and the coast very deep, without sunken rocks off it. Outside the shore is rocky, but further in there is a sandy beach, and here I anchored on that Friday night until morning. This coast and the part of the island I saw is almost flat, and the island is very beautiful, for if the other islands are lovely, this is more so. It has many very green trees, which are very large. The land is higher than in the other islands, and in it there are some hills, which cannot be called mountains, and it appears that there is much water inland. From this point to the northeast, the coast makes a great angle, and there are many thick and extensive groves. I wanted to go and anchor there, so as to go on shore and see so much beauty, but the water was shallow, and we could only anchor at a distance from the land. The wind also was fair for going to this cape, where I am now anchored, to which I gave the name of Cabo Hermoso, because it is so. Thus it was that I do not anchor in that angle, but as I saw this cape so green and so beautiful, like all the other lands of these islands, I scarcely knew which to visit first, for I can never tire my eyes in looking at such lovely vegetation, so different from ours. I believe that there are many herbs and many trees that are worth much in Europe for dyes and for medicines, but I do not know them, and this causes me great sorrow. Arriving at this cape, I found the smell of the trees and flowers so delicious that it seemed the pleasantest thing in the world. Tomorrow, before I leave this place, I shall go on shore to see what there is at this cape. There are no people, but there are villages in the interior where the Indians I bring with me say, there is a king who has much gold. Tomorrow, I intend to go so far inland as to find the village, and see and have some speech with this king, who, according to the signs they make, rules over all the neighboring islands, goes about clothed, and wears much gold on his person. I do not give much faith to what they say, as well because I do not understand them well, as because they are so poor in gold that even a little that this king may have would appear much to them. This cape, to which I have given the name of Cabo Fermoso, is, I believe, on an island separated from Saometo, and there is another small islet between them. I did not try to examine them in detail because it could not be done in 50 years, for my desire is to see and discover as much as I can before returning to your highnesses, our Lord willing, in April. It is true that in the event of finding places where there is gold or spices in quantity, I should stop until I had collected as much as I could. I therefore proceed in the hope of coming across such places. Saturday, 20th of October. Today at sunrise I weighed the anchors from where I was with the ship and anchored off the southwest point of the island of Saometo, to which I gave the name of Cabo de la Laguna, and to the island Isabella. My intention was to navigate to the northeast and east from the southeast and south, where, I understood from the Indians I brought with me, was the village of the king. I found the sea so shallow that I could not enter nor navigate in it, and I saw that to follow a route by the southeast would be a great round. So I determined to return by the route that I had taken from the north-northeast to the western part, and to sail round this island to reconnoiter it. I had so little wind that I never could sail along the coast, except during the night, as it was dangerous to anchor off these islands except in the day, when one can see where to let the anchor, for the bottom is all in patches, some clear and some rocky. I lay to all this Sunday night. The caravels anchored because they found themselves near the shore, and they thought that, owing to the signals that they were in the habit of making, I would come to anchor, but I did not wish to do so. Sunday, 21st of October. At 10 o'clock I arrived here, off this islet, and anchored, as well as the caravels. After breakfast I went on shore, and found only one house, in which there was no one, and I suppose they had fled from fear because all their property was left in the house. I would not allow anything to be touched, but set out with the captains and people to explore the island. If the others already seen are very beautiful, green and fertile, this is much more so, with large trees and very green. Here there are large lagoons with wonderful vegetation on their banks. Throughout the island all is green and the herbage like April in Andalusia. The songs of the birds were so pleasant that it seemed as if a man could never wish to leave the place. The flocks of parrots concealed the sun, and the birds were so numerous and of so many different kinds that it was wonderful. There are trees of 1,000 sorts, and all have their several fruits, and I feel the most unhappy man in the world not to know them, for I am well assured that they are all valuable. I bring home specimens of them, and also of the land. Thus, walking along round one of the lakes, I saw a serpent, which we killed, and I bring home the skin for your highnesses. As soon as it saw us, it went into the lagoon, and we followed, as the water was not very deep, until we killed it with lances. It is 7 spans long, and I believe that there are many like it in these lagoons. Here I came upon some aloes, and I have determined to take 10 quintals on board tomorrow, for they tell me that they are worth a good deal. Also, while in search of good water, we came to a village about half a league from our anchorage. The people, as soon as they heard us, all fled and left their houses, hiding their property in the wood. I would not allow a thing to be touched, even the value of a pin. Presently some men among them came to us, and one came quite close. I gave him some bells and glass beads, which made him very content and happy. That our friendship might be further increased, I resolved to ask him for something. I requested him to get some water. After I had gone on board, the natives came to the beach with calabashes full of water, and they delighted much in giving it to us. I ordered another string of glass beads to be presented to them, and they said they would come again tomorrow. I wished to fill up all the ships with water at this place, and if there should be time, I intended to search the island until I had had speech with the king, and seen whether he had the gold of which I had heard. I shall then shape a course for another much larger island, which I believe to be Chipango, judging from the signs made by the Indians I bring with me. They call it Cuba, and they say that there are ships and many skillful sailors there. Beyond this island there is another called Bocio, which they also say is very large, and others we shall see as we pass, lying between. According as I obtain tidings of gold or spices, I shall settle what should be done. I am still resolved to go to the mainland and the city of Gizeh, and to deliver the letters of your highnesses to the Grand Khan, requesting a reply and returning with it. Monday, 22nd of October. All last night and today I was here, waiting to see if the king or other person would bring gold or anything of value. Many of these people came, like those of the other islands, equally naked and equally painted, some white, some red, some black, and others in many ways. They brought darts and skeins of cotton to barter, which they exchanged with the sailors for bits of glass, broken crockery, and pieces of earthenware. Some of them had pieces of gold fastened in their noses, which they willingly gave for a hawk's bell and glass beads. But there was so little that it counts for nothing. It is true that they looked upon any little thing that I gave them as a wonder, and they held our arrival to be a great marvel, believing that we came from heaven. We got water for the ships from a lagoon which is near the Cabo del Isleo, Cape of the Islet, as we named it. In the said lagoon, Martin Alonso Pinzon, captain of the Pinta, killed another serpent 7 spans long, like the one we got yesterday. I made them gather here as much of the aloe as they could find. Tuesday, the 23rd of October. I desired to set out today for the island of Cuba, which I think must be Chipango, according to the signs these people make, indicative of its size and riches, and I did not delay any more here, nor attempt to sail. Round this island to the residence of this king or lord, and have speech with him, as I had intended. This would cause me much delay, and I see that there is no gold mine here. To sail round would need several winds, for it does not blow here, as men may wish. It is better to go where there is great entertainment, so I say that it is not reasonable to wait, but rather to continue the voyage and inspect much land, until some very profitable country is reached, my belief being that it will be rich in spices. That I have no personal knowledge of these products causes me the greatest sorrow in the world, for I see 1,000 kinds of trees, each one with its own special fruit, all green now as in Spain during the months of May and June, as well as 1,000 kinds of herbs with their flowers. Yet I know none of them except this aloe, of which I ordered a quantity to be brought on board to bring to your highnesses. I have not made sail for Cuba, because there is no wind, but a dead calm with much rain. It rained a great deal yesterday without causing any cold. On the contrary, the days are hot and the nights cool, like May in Andalusia. Wednesday, the 24th of October. At midnight I weighed the anchors and left the anchorage at Cabo del Isleo, in the island of Isabella. From the northern side where I was, I intended to go to the island of Cuba, where I heard of the people who were very great and had gold, spices, merchandise, and large ships. They showed me that the course thither would be west-southwest, and so I hold. For I believe that it is so, as all the Indians of these islands, as well as those I brought with me in the ships, told me by signs. I cannot understand their language, but I believe that it is of the island of Chipango that they recount these wonders. On the spheres I saw, and on the delineations of the map of the world, Chipango is in this region. So I shaped a course west-southwest until daylight, but at dawn it fell calm and began to rain, and went on nearly all night. I remained thus with little wind until the afternoon, when it began to blow fresh. I set all the sails in the ship, the mainsail with 2 bonnets, the foresail, spritsail, mizzen, main topsail, and the boat's sail on the poop. So I proceeded until nightfall, when the Cabo Verde of the island of Fernandina, which is at the southwest end, bore northwest, distant 7 leagues. As it was now blowing hard, and I did not know how far it was to this island of Cuba, I resolved not to go in search of it during the night. All these islands being very steep too, with no bottom round them for a distance of 2 shots of a lombard. The bottom is all in patches, one bit of sand and another of rock, and for this reason it is not safe to anchor without inspection with the eye. So I determined to take in all the sails except the foresail, and to go on under that reduced canvas. Soon the wind increased, while the route was doubtful, and there was very thick weather with rain. I ordered the foresail to be furled, and we did not make 2 leagues during that night. Thursday, 25th of October. I steered west-southwest from after sunset until 9 o'clock, making 5 leagues. Afterwards, I altered course to west and went 8 miles an hour until 1 in the afternoon, and from that time until 3 made good 44 miles. Then land was sighted, consisting of 7 or 8 islands, the group running north and south, distant from us 5 leagues. Friday, 26th of October. The ship was on the south side of the islands, which were all low, distant 5 or 6 leagues. I anchored there. The Indians on board said that thence to Cuba was a voyage in their canoes of a day and a half, these being small dugouts without a sail. Such are their canoes. I departed thence for Cuba, for by the signs the Indians made of its greatness and of its gold and pearls, I thought that it must be Chipango. Saturday, 27th of October. I weighed from these islands at sunrise and gave them the name of Las Islas de Arena, owing to the little depth the sea had for a distance of 6 leagues to the southward of them. We went 8 miles an hour on a south-southwest course until 1 o'clock, having made 40 miles. Until night we had run 28 miles on the same course, and before dark the land was sighted. At night there was much rain. The vessels on Saturday until sunset made 17 leagues on a south-southwest course. Sunday, 28th of October. I went thence in search of the island of Cuba on a south-southwest course, making for the nearest point of it, and entered a very beautiful river without danger of sunken rocks or other impediments. All the coast was clear of dangers up to the shore. The mouth of the river was 12 brazas across. and it is wide enough for a vessel to beat in. I anchored about a lombard shot inside. The admiral says that he never beheld such a beautiful place, with trees bordering the river, handsome, green, and different from ours, having fruits and flowers, each one according to its nature. There are many birds which sing very sweetly. There are a great number of palm trees of a different kind from those in Guinea and from ours, of a middling height, the trunks without that covering, and the leaves very large, with which they thatch their houses. The country is very level. The admiral jumped into his boat and went on shore. He came to 2 houses, which he believed to belong to fishermen who had fled from fear. In one of them he found a kind of dog that never barks, and in both there were nets of palm fiber and cordage, as well as hornfish hooks, bone harpoons, and other apparatus for fishing, and several hearths. He believed that many people lived together in one house. He gave orders that nothing in the houses should be touched, and so it was done. The herbage was as thick as in Andalusia during April and May. He found much purslane and wild amaranth. He returned to the boat and went up the river for some distance, and he says it was great pleasure to see the bright verdure and the birds, which he could not leave to go back. He says that this island is the most beautiful that eyes have seen, full of good harbors and deep rivers, and the sea appeared as if it never rose, for the herbage on the beach nearly reached the waves, which does not happen where the sea is rough. Up to that time they had not experienced a rough sea among all those islands. He says that the island is full of very beautiful mountains, although they are not very extensive as regards length, but high. And all the country is high, like Sicily. It is abundantly supplied with water, as they gathered from the Indians they had taken with them from the island of Guanahani. These said by signs that there are 10 great rivers, and that they cannot go round the island in 20 days. When they came near land with the ships, 2 canoes came out, and when they saw the sailors get into a boat and row about to find the depth of the river where they could anchor, the canoes fled. The Indians say that in this island there are gold mines and pearls, and the admiral saw a likely place for them and mussel shells, which are signs of them. He understood that large ships of the Grand Khan came here, and that from here to the mainland was a voyage of 10 days. The admiral called this river and harbor San Salvador. Monday, 29th of October. The admiral weighed anchor from this port and sailed to the westward, to go to the city, where, as it seemed, the Indians said that there was a king. They doubled a point 6 leagues to the northwest, and then another point, then east 10 leagues. After another league he saw a river with no very large entrance, to which he gave the name of Rio de la Luna. He went on until the hour of vespers. He saw another river much larger than the others, as the Indians told him by signs, and near he saw goodly villages of houses. He called the river Rio de Mares. He sent 2 boats on shore to a village to communicate, and one of the Indians he had brought with him, for now they understood a little and show themselves content with Christians. All the men, women, and children fled, abandoning their houses with all they contained. The admiral gave orders that nothing should be touched. The houses were better than those he had seen before, and he believed that the houses would improve as he approached the mainland. They were made like booths, very large, and looking like tents in a camp, without regular streets, but one here and another there. Within, they were clean and well swept, with the furniture well made. All are of palm branches, beautifully constructed. They found many images in the shape of women, and many heads like masks, very well carved. It was not known whether these were used as ornaments or to be worshipped. They had dogs which never bark, and wild birds tamed in their houses. There was a wonderful supply of nets and other fishing implements, but nothing was touched. He believed that all the people on the coast were fishermen who took the fish inland, For this island is very large and so beautiful that he is never tired of praising it. He says that he found trees and fruits of very marvelous taste, and adds that they must have cows or other cattle, for he saw skulls which were like those of cows. The songs of the birds and the chirping of crickets throughout the night lulled everyone to rest, while the air was soft and healthy, and the nights neither hot nor cold. On the voyage through the other islands there was great heat, but here it is tempered like the month of May. He attributed the heat of the other islands to their flatness and to the wind coming from the east, which is hot. The water of the rivers was salt at the mouth, and they did not know whence the natives got their drinking water, though they have sweet water in their houses. Ships are able to turn in this river, both entering and coming out, and there are very good leading marks. He says that all this sea appears to be constantly smooth, like the river at Seville, and the water suitable for the growth of pearls. He found large shells unlike those of Spain. Remarking on the position of the river and port, to which he gave the name of San Salvador, he describes its mountains as lofty and beautiful, like the Peña de las Enamoradas, and one of them has another little hill on its summit, like a graceful mosque. The other river and port, in which he now was, has 2 round mountains to the southwest, and a fine low cape running out to the west-southwest. Tuesday, 30th of October. He left the Rio de Mares and steered northwest, seeing a cape covered with palm trees, to which he gave the name of Cabo de Palmas, after having made good 15 leagues. The Indians on board the caravel Pinta said that beyond that cape there was a river, and that from the river to Cuba it was 4 days' journey. The captain of the Pinta reported that he understood from that this Cuba was a city, and that the land was a great continent trending far to the north. The king of that country, he gathered, was at war with the Grand Khan, whom they called Kami, and his land or city Fava, with many other names. The admiral resolved to proceed to that river and to send a present with the letter of the sovereigns to the king of that land. For this service there was a sailor who had been to Guinea, and some of the Indians of Guanahani wished to go with him, and afterwards to return to their homes. The admiral calculated that he was 42 degrees to the north of the equinoctial line, but the handwriting is here illegible. He says that he must attempt to reach the Grand Khan, who he thought was here or at the city of Cathay, which belongs to him, and is very grand, as he was informed before leaving Spain. All this land, he adds, is low and beautiful, and the sea deep. Wednesday, 31st of October. All Tuesday night he was beating to windward, and he saw a river, but could not enter it because the entrance was narrow. The Indians fancied that the ships could enter wherever their canoes could go. Navigating onwards, he came to a cape running out very far, and surrounded by sunken rocks, and he saw a bay where small vessels might take shelter. He could not proceed because the wind had come round to the north, and all the coast runs northwest and southeast. Another cape further on ran out still more. For these reasons, and because the sky showed signs of a gale, he had to return to the Rio de Mares. Thursday, November the 1st. At sunrise, the admiral sent the boats on shore to the houses that were there, and they found that all the people had fled. After some time, a man made his appearance. The admiral ordered that he should be left to himself, and the sailors returned to the boats. After dinner, one of the Indians on board was sent on shore. He called out from a distance that there was nothing to fear, because the strangers were good people and would do no harm to anyone. Nor were they people of the Grand Khan, but they had given away their things in many islands where they had been. The Indian then swam on shore, and 2 of the natives took him by the arms and brought him to a house, where they heard what he had to say. When they were certain that no harm would be done to them, they were reassured, and presently more than 16 canoes came to the ships with cotton thread and other trifles. The admiral ordered that nothing should be taken from them, that they might understand that he sought for nothing but gold, which they call nukai. Thus they went to and fro between the ships and the shore all day, and they came to the Christians on shore with confidence. The admiral saw no gold whatever among them, but he says that he saw one of them with a piece of worked silver fastened to his nose. They said by signs that within 3 days many merchants from inland would come to buy the things brought by the Christians and would give information respecting the king of that land. So far as could be understood from their signs, he resided at a distance of 4 days' journey. They had sent many messengers in all directions with news of the arrival of the admiral. "These people," says the admiral, "are of the same appearance and have the same customs as those of the other islands, without any religion so far as I know, for up to this day I have never seen the Indians on board say any prayer, though they repeat the Salve and Ave Maria with their hands raised to heaven, and they make the sign of the cross. The language is also the same, and they are all friends, but I believe that all these islands are at war with the Grand Khan, whom they called Kavila, and his province, Bafan. They all go naked like the others." This is what the admiral says. "The river," he adds, "is very deep, and the ships can enter the mouth, going close to the shore. The sweet water does not come within a league of the mouth. It is certain," says the admiral, "that this is the mainland, and that I am in front of Zato and Guince, 100 leagues, a little more or less, distant the one from the other. It is very clear that no one before has been so far as this by sea. Yesterday, with wind from the northwest, I found it cold." Friday, 2nd of November. The admiral decided upon sending 2 Spaniards, one named Rodrigo de Jerez, who lived in Ayamonte, and the other Luis de Torres, who had served in the household of the Adelantado of Murcia, and had been a Jew knowing Hebrew, Chaldee, and even some Arabic. With these men he sent 2 Indians, one from among those he had brought from Guanahani, and another a native of the houses by the riverside. He gave them strings of beads with which to buy food if they should be in need, and ordered them to return in 6 days. He gave them specimens of spices to see if any were to be found. Their instructions were to ask for the king of that land, and they were told what to say on the part of the sovereigns of Castile, how they had sent the admiral with letters and a present to inquire after his health and establish friendship, favoring him in what he might desire from them. They were to collect information respecting certain provinces, ports, and rivers of which the admiral had notice, and to ascertain their distances from where he was. This night the admiral took an altitude with a quadrant and found that the distance from the equinoctial line was 42 degrees. He says that, by his reckoning, he finds that he has gone over 1,142 leagues from the island of Hierro. He still believes that he has reached the mainland. Saturday, 3rd of November. In the morning, the admiral got into the boat, and as the river is like a great lake at the mouth, forming a very excellent port, very deep and clear of rocks, with a good beach for careening ships, and plenty of fuel, he explored it until he came to fresh water at a distance of 2 leagues from the mouth. He ascended a small mountain to obtain a view of the surrounding country, but could see nothing owing to the dense foliage of the trees, which were very fresh and odoriferous, so that he felt no doubt that there were aromatic herbs among them. He said that all he saw was so beautiful that his eyes could never tire of gazing upon such loveliness, nor his ears of listening to the songs of birds. That day many canoes came to the ships to barter with cotton threads and with the nets in which they sleep, called hammocks. Sunday, 4th of November. At sunrise the admiral again went away in the boat and landed to hunt the birds he had seen the day before. After a time, Martin Alonso Pinzon came to him with 2 pieces of cinnamon and said that a Portuguese who was one of his crew had seen an Indian carrying 2 very large bundles of it, but he had not bartered for it because of the penalty imposed by the admiral on anyone who bartered. He further said that this Indian carried some brown things like nutmegs. The master of the Pinta said that he had found the cinnamon trees. The admiral went to the place and found that they were not cinnamon trees. The admiral showed the Indians some specimens of cinnamon and pepper he had brought from Castile, and they knew it, and said by signs that there was plenty in the vicinity, pointing to the southeast. He also showed them gold and pearls, on which certain old men said that there was an infinite quantity in a place called Bojillo, and that the people wore it on their necks, ears, arms, and legs, as well as pearls. He further understood them to say that there were great ships and much merchandise all to the southeast. He also understood that far away there were men with one eye and others with dogs' noses who were cannibals, and that when they captured an enemy, they beheaded him and drank his blood and cut off his private parts. The admiral then determined to return to the ship and wait the return of the 2 men he had sent, intending to depart and seek for those lands, if his envoys brought some good news touching what he desired. The admiral further says, "These people are very gentle and timid. They go naked, as I have said, without arms and without law. The country is very fertile. The people have plenty of maims which are like carrots and have the flavor of chestnuts. And they have faxons and beans of kinds very different from ours. They also have much cotton, which they do not sow, as it is wild in the mountains, and I believe they collect it throughout the year, because I saw pods empty, others full, and flowers all on one tree. There are 1,000 other kinds of fruits which it is impossible for me to write about, and all must be profitable." All this the admiral says. Monday, 5th of November. This morning the admiral ordered the ship to be careened, afterwards the other vessels, but not all at the same time. 2 were always to be at the anchorage as a precaution, although he says that these people were very safe and that without fear all the vessels might have been careened at the same time. Things being in this state, the master of the Niña came to claim a reward from the admiral because he had found mastic, but he did not bring the specimen as he had dropped it. The admiral promised him a reward and sent Rodrigo Sanchez and Master Diego to the trees. They collected some, which was kept to present to the sovereigns, as well as the tree. The admiral says that he knew it was mastic, though it ought to be gathered at the proper season. There is enough in that district for a yield of 1,000 quintals every year. The admiral also found here a great deal of the plant called aloe. He further says that the Puerto de Mares is the best in the world, with the finest climate and the most gentle people. As it has a high, rocky cape, a fortress might be built, so that in the event of the place becoming rich and important, the merchants would be safe from any other nations. He adds, "The Lord, in whose hands are all victories, will ordain all things for his service." An Indian said by signs that the mastic was good for pains in the stomach. Tuesday, 6th of November. Yesterday at night, says the admiral, the 2 men came back who had been sent to explore the interior. They said that after walking 12 leagues, they came to a village of 50 houses where there were 1,000 inhabitants, for many live in one house. These houses are like very large booths. They said that they were received with great solemnity according to custom, and all, both men and women, came out to see them. They were lodged in the best houses, and the people touched them, kissing their hands and feet, marveling and believing that they came from heaven, and so they gave them to understand. They gave them to eat of what they had. When they arrived, the chief people conducted them by the arms to the principal house, gave them 2 chairs on which to sit, and all the natives sat round them on the ground. The Indian who came with them described the manner of living of the Christians and said that they were good people. Presently the men went out, and the women came sitting round them in the same way, kissing their hands and feet, and looking to see if they were of flesh and bones like themselves, they begged the Spaniards to remain with them at least 5 days. The Spaniards showed the natives specimens of cinnamon, pepper, and other spices which the admiral had given them, and they said by signs that there was plenty at a short distance from thence to southeast, but that there they did not know whether there was any. Finding that they had no information respecting cities, the Spaniards returned, and if they had desired to take those who wished to accompany them, more than 500 men and women would have come, because they thought the Spaniards were returning to heaven. There came, however, a principal man of the village, and his son with a servant. The admiral conversed with them and showed them much honor. They made signs respecting many lands and islands in those parts. The admiral thought of bringing them to the sovereigns. He says that he knew not what fancy took them. Either from fear or owing to the dark night, they wanted to land. The ship was at the time high and dry, but not wishing to make them angry, he let them go on there, saying that they would return at dawn, but they never came back. The two Christians met with many people on the road going home, men and women with a half-burnt weed in their hands. Being the herbs they are accustomed to smoke, they did not find villages on the road of more than 5 houses, all receiving them with the same reverence. They saw many kinds of trees, herbs, and sweet-smelling flowers, and birds of many different kinds, unlike those of Spain except the partridges, geese, of which there are many, and singing nightingales. They saw no quadrupeds except the dogs that do not bark. The land is very fertile, and is cultivated with yams and several kinds of beans different from ours, as well as corn. There were great quantities of cotton gathered, spun, and worked up. In a single house they saw more than 500 arrobas, and as much as 4,000 quintals could be yielded every year. The admiral said that it did not appear to be cultivated, and that it bore all the year round. It is very fine, and has a large bowl. All that was possessed by these people they gave at a very low price, and a great bundle of cotton was exchanged for the point of a needle or other trifle. They are a people, says the admiral, guileless and unwarlike. Men and women go as naked as when their mothers bore them. It is true that the women wear a very small piece of cotton cloth which covers their private parts and no more, and they are of very good appearance, not very dark, less so than the Canarians. I hold, most serene princes, that if devout religious persons were here, knowing the language, they would all turn Christians. I trust in our Lord that your highnesses will resolve upon this with much diligence, to bring so many great nations within the church, and to convert them, as you have destroyed those who would not confess the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And after your days, all of us being mortal, may your kingdoms remain in peace, and free from heresy and evil, and may you be well received before the eternal Creator, to whom I pray that you may have long life and great increase of kingdoms and lordships, with the will and disposition to increase the holy Christian religion as you have done hitherto. Amen. Today I got the ship afloat and prepared to depart on Thursday in the name of God, and to steer southeast in search of gold and spices, and to discover land. These are the words of the admiral, who intended to depart on Thursday, but the wind being contrary, he could not go until the 12th of November,